In Lagos, there is one rule people rarely say out loud. Never embarrass a quiet woman in public, unless you are ready to be destroyed in private. On a humid Saturday evening in Surulere, under a rented canopy, decorated with gold balloons and plastic flowers, Tobi Adeyemi made the worst decision of his life. He cleared his throat, tapped the microphone, and smiled like a man who believed he was untouchable. "Before we cut the cake," he said, his voice echoing across the compound, "there's someone special I want you all to meet." His wife, Amara, stood beside him in a fitted emerald dress, calm and radiant. 2 steps behind him stood a younger woman in a tight champagne gown, one hand resting lightly on her stomach. "And," Tobi continued, placing his arm around the younger woman, "she's carrying my child." The music stopped. The chatter died. The entire Adeyemi family compound froze. Everyone turned to look at Amara. She did not scream. She did not cry. She smiled. "Congratulations," she said softly. And that smile was the beginning of the end. Tobi Adeyemi was 38 years old and convinced he was self-made. He was the founder of a fast-growing fintech startup based in Lekki Phase 1. He drove a black Range Rover with tinted windows and spoke at tech conferences about innovation and African excellence. On LinkedIn, he was visionary. On Instagram, he was family man. At home, he was distant. Amara Adeyemi was 35, a corporate lawyer working at a top firm in Victoria Island. She was disciplined, sharp, and strategic. The kind of woman who read contracts for pleasure and remembered every clause. They had been married for 10 years. 2 children, 1 duplex in Lekki, 1 carefully curated public image. But inside the house, the marriage had grown quiet. Not violent, not chaotic, just cold. Tobi felt unappreciated. Amara felt alone. Instead of fixing it, Tobi looked for warmth elsewhere. That warmth arrived in the form of Nadine Okoro, 27 years old, lifestyle influencer, always perfectly lit, always perfectly posed. She had over 100,000 followers and the confidence of someone who believed she deserved more. They met at a tech and media networking event in Victoria Island. She laughed at his jokes, called him brilliant, told him he deserved soft life. It started with private dinners, then hotel rooms, then weekend strategy retreats. Within 6 months, Nadine was calling him my future. Within 9 months, she was pregnant. When she told him, she didn't cry. She smiled. "I won't hide," she said. "If I'm having your child, I deserve my place." Tobi panicked, not because he felt guilty, because he felt pressured. He promised to handle Amara. But handling Amara was not as simple as handling a side arrangement. Because what Tobi did not know was this. Amara had known for 3 months. The first sign was not perfume. It was pattern. Tobi had started locking his phone. Then came late-night investor calls. Then transfers from their joint account, labeled consulting. Amara did not confront. She observed. She checked bank statements. She cross-referenced dates. She hired a private investigator quietly through a colleague. The report came back clean, detailed, undeniable. Photos, hotel bookings, pregnancy clinic visits, messages. Amara read everything. Then she did something unexpected. She said nothing. Instead, she moved. She opened a separate account. She consulted a senior partner in her firm, off the record. She reviewed the shareholding structure of Tobi's company. She examined tax filings. And she discovered something more dangerous than infidelity: financial misrepresentation. Tobi had been using company funds to sustain Nadine's lifestyle. Flights, luxury gifts, apartment rent, all disguised as marketing expenses. That was not just cheating. That was fraud. Amara printed copies, stored them in a brown envelope, and waited. Meanwhile, Nadine grew impatient. "I'm not your secret," she told him one evening inside his car in Lekki. "Your wife posts family photos every Sunday. Where do I stand?" Tobi, inflated by ego and attention, made a decision driven by pride. His mother was turning 60. The entire extended family would be present. Church elders, business associates, old university friends. He convinced himself that public boldness would equal control. He would own the situation. So he invited Nadine. And that was how we arrived back in Surulere. Back to the microphone. Back to the announcement. "She's carrying my child." Silence. Shock. Humiliation hanging in the humid Lagos air. All eyes on Amara. She smiled. "Congratulations." No shaking hands, no tears. Just grace. To Tobi, it looked like surrender. It was not surrender. It was positioning. The week after the party felt strangely normal. Amara cooked, prepared the children for school, went to work. She did not argue. She did not ask questions. She did not mention the baby. That unsettled Tobi more than rage would have. Nadine, however, believed she had won. She posted cryptic captions online. "God is aligning things." Soft life loading. She began telling close friends she would soon move to Lekki permanently. Then came the board meeting. Tobi's startup was preparing for a major funding round. Investors from London and Nairobi joined virtually. Board members gathered in a glass conference room overlooking the Lekki skyline. Amara attended as legal advisor. Halfway through the meeting, when financial projections were being discussed, Amara requested to speak. Calmly, professionally, she connected her laptop to the projector. "Before we proceed with valuation discussions," she said, "there are compliance issues the board must review." Tobi frowned. "Amara, this isn't necessary." She continued. Slides appeared. Bank transfers, receipts, luxury purchases, categorized as operational expenses, hotel bookings charged to company accounts, investor money, funding, personal misconduct. The room shifted. An investor cleared his throat. "Is this accurate?" Tobi tried to explain. "It's temporary cash flow management." But documents do not argue. They expose. Within 48 hours, the board voted. Tobi was suspended, pending investigation. Funding paused. Press inquiries began. The same week, Amara filed for divorce. Grounds: adultery, financial misconduct, breach of fiduciary duty, affecting marital assets. She requested full custody. Primary residence, asset division, based on documented evidence. Nadine watched the news through her phone. At first she was angry, then afraid. Brand collaboration slowed. One sponsor emailed, "We are reassessing partnerships, pending reputational clarity." She called Tobi repeatedly. He did not pick up. He was busy speaking to lawyers. 3 weeks later, Nadine sat in a half-furnished apartment, staring at bills. The man who promised her luxury was fighting to retain his own credibility. The lifestyle she imagined was dissolving. Pregnancy no longer felt glamorous. Meanwhile, Amara moved with precision. She rented a smaller but elegant home in Ikoyi, transferred the children's schools quietly, maintained professional silence publicly. When asked by colleagues, she simply said, "I am prioritizing stability." Tobi finally came to her, not with arrogance, with exhaustion. "Why didn't you shout?" he asked one evening when she met him to discuss custody logistics. Amara looked at him carefully. "Because shouting would have warned you." He blinked. She continued, "You embarrassed me publicly. I corrected you strategically." There was no hatred in her voice, just clarity. "I didn't lose a husband," she added. "I removed the liability." The divorce was finalized 8 months later. Tobi retained minority shares after settlement. His company survived, but he did not return as CEO. Nadine gave birth to a baby boy. She moved back to her parents' home temporarily. The internet moved on, as it always does, but those who attended that birthday party never forgot the lesson. In Lagos, noise attracts attention. Silence builds power. Never mistake composure for weakness. And never assume the woman standing quietly beside you has not already calculated your downfall. If this story made you reflect on pride, loyalty, and consequences, share it with someone who needs the reminder. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And what would you have done if you were in Amara's position? Subscribe for more modern African stories, filled with drama, wisdom, and the truth about human nature. Until the next story, choose integrity over ego. Goodbye.